America's finest entrepreneurs. This is the Focus Group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. We hope you all are having a great start to June. And, of course, it wouldn't be June without a visit from our friends. Would it be from the West or from the East? Where would they be from?
From the magical domains of the unicorn and the rainbow, Tim. Top of the pride to you, Mr. Bennett, and happy pride to all. The pride leprechaun. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so it's not. And when I saw it was June and we were starting the show, I thought, oh, guess who's going to be visiting? So we knew. So without,
yeah, exactly,
without fail. Hey, listen, I had a quick thing. Remember, a couple shows ago, we talked about I'd gone to McDonald's with one of our listeners, Rob.
You were doing was it the fish sandwich?
Filet fish, and I saw our friends, as you know them too, and they send their regards, Patrick and Howard.
Yep.
And did not know that I think it's closeted, but they're big McDonald's fans. And I said, have you been to the McDonald's with...
Just hit pause. You're talking about Patrick?
Patrick and Howard, yeah.
Are big McDonald's fans?
So I said to them, you know how I did, they were listening to the show. They were getting a kick out of the Chinese buffet trip. And then they said they had heard we went for the filet of fish. And I said, because we had really trouble, Rob and I, trying to figure out the kiosk. I mean, there was no human connection. We just had to go order off this kiosk. And Howard's like, oh, Patrick's got it down to a science, got the app and everything. Boom, boom, boom. And I said, what do you guys get there?
What do they get? I am dead curious now.
Well, it depends. A quarter pounder with cheese, or they might get cheeseburgers or something. So I said to them, next time you go, let me know. And then we were laughing because I said, maybe we can make a segment out of this. We'll contact McDonald's and we could give the weekly or the monthly lunch report or something. Apparently one of they know one of the guys, I guess here in the Delmarva Peninsula that owns 25 McDonald's.
25.
They're pretty friendly with him. And they said that, and I guess they're pretty good connoisseurs of McDonald's, which shocked me. I would have never in a million years thought it.
Okay, you and I would agree with Patrick and Howard that we love the French fries.
Yeah, I do love the burger. You know, if Rob wasn't with me, I might have got a burger to have for later. But
you had to do the fish because you were testing.
We did the fish. Yeah. But listen. I've never disliked a McDonald's cheeseburger or quarter pounder with cheese.
Bob, when we were in Connecticut this past weekend, Bob and I were driving. We had to be diverted off 84, and we had to run, that road that runs parallel to 84 from Middlebury to Southbury. And we were getting on 84. We were going by the plaza, and I said, "Oh, Bob, I have lovely memories of meeting Tim at Walden Books, going to the McDonald's, going to the counter. Stephanie Slider would be at the counter. Mm-hmm. Usual boys, and the usual was I would get 2 hamburgers and a large fry and an orange soda, and usually got double cheeseburgers. Two
cheeseburgers, fry, and an orange drink.
And then she would bring it up and say $1.25.
Why did you get a cheeseburger?
I always liked the plain burgers.
Did you?
And you like the cheeseburgers. That's the way it worked. But since her dad owned the franchise, $1.25.
Oh, back in the day, before computers, you get away with anything. We would go to the grocery store all the time, and you would run through a bag load of items, and it'd be 28 cents because they'd hit there, 01, 02.
We went to high school with these kids, and we all were friends. And it was like, was Laura DeChenko at Record World? I think we talked about this before.
Oh yeah, Laura was at Record World. We had
you're at Walden Books.
Lori Christensen was at the Southbury Food Center. Tracy Tardif was at the pharmacy. We pretty much controlled the town.
We had it covered. Tim, you think about it. When I was driving home, I was pointing out all these things to Bob, and I said that never existed. That never existed. That was Woods. When we grew up, it was a particular time, and I'm so glad that we did. It was So fun.
Yeah, probably the most expensive thing we got was Boone's Farm strawberry wine. I mean, and it was $3 then. So
Boone's
still
Farm.
$3.
Oh my God! I
Remember
have a memory
Boone's Farm
back.
strawberry fields or strawberry hills? It was strawberry wine or something. Yeah.
So classic. So classic.
Yeah. No,
oh my God. All right. I have besides it being top of the pride to you, Tim, and where does the leprechaun come from? How dare you ask? He comes to the magical realms, the pride realms beyond the mountains. I noticed in the Times the other day that Marcia Lucas had passed away. Now, Marcia Lucas is the wife of George Lucas, his first wife. She won an Academy Award, an Oscar for her editing on Star Wars. She also worked on American Graffiti, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. And she was just a really well-known film editor. Now, Lucas is married to, I forget her name now. And they're getting ready to open a really cool museum in Los Angeles. The thing looks like a spaceship. It's called the Museum of Narrative Arts. Why don't I remember who he's married to? She used to be a CEO of a company, beautiful woman. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there after the Pride Leprechaun said hello that Marcia Lucas had passed.
Well, did you see, and I may be off base on this, but was there a new Star Wars movie that came out?
Yes, Grogu, The Mandalorian and Grogu. It opened over this past weekend.
Did you go see it?
I have not seen it, or 2 weekends ago. I have not seen it. Opened over Memorial Day, that's right. Did okay with opening weekend. A lot of people were griping that it should have made more money than it did, and it's the lowest open Star Wars and whatever. It's basically a movie based on the TV show they did called The Mandalorian. And right. I've heard mixed reviews. A friend of mine went and she said, it's for kids, but there's a lot of violence in there. I'm like, a lot of violence on TV, period. And I've heard other people say it was just a fun romp. So I do plan to see it.
Will you see it in the theater?
I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'd like to. The last film I saw in the theater was Devil Wears Prada 2. And it was really just nice to be in a theater and not worried about, movie ends, lights come up.
Did you get popcorn?
No, I wanted to. But Bob's like, I'm not hungry. I'm like, okay, I guess we'll skip the popcorn.
Have you been to one of these theaters where there are those seats that they recline back and I guess your feet go up or something? I just think that's a license to sleep to me.
Well, if they had that during American Beauty.
Oh, my God.
You'd have a perfect excuse, right? Tim comes in.
I don't think I'm wrong about American Beauty, by the way. Have you ever watched it again? Have you ever watched it more than once?
It's one of my favorite movies.
No, it is not.
But you know something, Tim? I got to tell you that one of the problems that I have with certain things is, Kevin Spacey was the main actor. And after all the stuff with Kevin Spacey, it's amazing how that infiltrates into how you process a film. I mean, I know he's an actor and I should just believe the character, but I also know the stuff that happened in the real life. So it doesn't hold the same allure it used to, but I thought it was a well-done film. It won all the awards. So
they're saying he's broke now.
Probably,
Kevin Spacey. Yeah. And, I feel the same way about, not that I ever really loved him and didn't particularly care for his genre movie, but same with Will Smith.
Yeah.
I thought his episode at the Oscars where he slapped Chris Rock was just so uncalled for. And just
bizarre.
Unprofessional and everything. Yeah.
Everything else about it. Yeah, it was just so weird and unhinged. And
well, considering he has such a troubled marriage anyway, and everybody knows it, it's the world's biggest secret, right? So if Will Smith never worked again, I wouldn't be upset.
You wouldn't miss him, right?
No. So I just thought that was crazy. So, Mr. Nash, what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
What caught my eye this week comes to us from our listener, Jigs. Thank you for sending this in. He knew it would catch my eye because it involves Lego. And I'm going to put the story this way. So there's a man who owns a Lego collection valued at around $200,000. He has rare Star Wars kits. Yeah, $200,000. Because he has all these kits that are complete. They're in the box. Some of them haven't even been opened. And he's had them for years. And so some kits that Lego makes, they're almost like Hummels or I don't know, whatever collectible you can think of. But as they age, they become more valuable to collectors and to Lego fans around the world. So he said to his son one day, the guy's 84, he said to his son, I want you to see if we can consign these and make money off them, and we could give the money to his grandson for college. Okay. So they went to a store called Bricks and Minifigs. It's a franchise, and they specialize in Legos. There's also some other building things that look like Legos, and minifigs, the little characters that Lego comes out with that are little miniature people. They look like blocks. This happened in Oregon. He goes into the store, strikes a deal for the consignment. So what happened in consignment, most people know, is if they sell the kit, they keep a little fee, you get the money. And he made a deal. They signed a contract. Shortly after that, the corporation, the holding company for the franchisee, the Bricks and Minifigs, took over the store. And they decided not to honor the contract because they said that it wasn't authorized. It was an unauthorized contract. The sets have vanished. And this guy is trying to find out where his dad's Lego sets are. The store is closed. They have no way of figuring this out. And the article is kind of long because it went back and forth on the legalities of this. But net, the Lego sets are missing. The guy's out an approximately valued at $200,000 collection. The corporation somehow has them, and no one's making the money off them. So I think it's one of these cautionary tales about how you get rid of things that have value, right? If you're letting someone else sell them on consignment, be aware that something may go awry, right?
They may disappear.
Yeah.
Did you so Bricks and Figs or Minifigs that's a franchise. So yes, I wonder if either the franchisees stole the sets, or I wonder if the corporation took them and just threw them in a box and put them in storage and now they can't find them. But it just sounds like a very odd thing. You're right. My grandmother years ago had a chair that in the scheme of things was worth quite a bit of money, I guess some sort of rare piece of furniture. And she sent it out to this person that was supposedly going to restore it. We never saw it again. Disappeared. Couldn't find it. And I remember being upset about it even as a kid. My grandmother was heartbroken, but she knew that it was stolen. Somebody took it. And so she was really disappointed with it. But I'm thinking about this with your cards. Patrick and Howard asked about your cards.
The Star Wars trading cards.
Imagine if you gave them to somebody to authenticate, and then they just disappeared. And so, well, we don't know where they are. What could you do?
What's the recourse?
Go to Judge Judy.
On this article that Jiggs sent me, there's a YouTube. I gotta call it a documentary this young man made, because the son of the man who owned the sets, approached another guy and said, "Can you help me track this down?" He did like a in-depth search for the Lego sets, knocked on the door, it's chained, it's closed, it's in a strip mall. At the end of it, unsatisfyingly, they still haven't located the kits, and it's anybody's guess if the franchise owner who struck the deal and then was removed, like quit or left or was pushed out, and then the company took over. One of the parties has to have it, but no one's saying boo. And you're caught in this kind of weird legal limbo, right? The corporation's saying, we don't honor that agreement, it was unauthorized. You have a signed document by someone who used to be an employee of the franchise who did, where do you go? It's frustrating.
Well, you'd almost want to, I guess in the boxes that were never open is one thing, but in some of them, I guess you could have put an Apple tag or something like that on them.
An air tag.
An air tag.
Clever. Very clever.
There's a guy I know, he posted went to college with him. He had a dilemma. He had something stolen out of his hotel room that had an air tag on it. And he's watching it go around. It obviously shows up at the hotel during the day and goes back home at night to whoever stole it. And I think it was either an iPad or some piece of computer equipment. And he was struggling as to what to do. And I was like, you need to tell the hotel that one of the employees has taken it. He was all concerned, didn't want to get the employee fired. And I said, tell the manager to say, we have a guest that has tracked. Somebody took something out of a guest room. It's been tracked. You need to leave it in the will call box anonymously and get it back. Otherwise, we're going to, prosecute. And I'm sure it would show up. But what would you do in that case?
I wouldn't feel obligated to worry about the employee, A.
Right.
Because clearly your story sets it up so perfectly, Tim. Clearly someone who works there who's going back and forth took it.
Yeah.
And I guess he was using like Find My device or something, or maybe he had the tag attached to it. I would not hesitate to talk to the manager. I mean, and then of course it's up to them, because if you could keep pinpointing the fact that that device came in back to the hotel, it's really up to them to get it back for you at that point.
Yeah, it's at the hotel, and then it's down at 3rd Street, and then it's at the hotel, and it's back at 3rd Street. So which one of your employees lives on 3rd Street?
3rd Street. Or let the manager play a game of sitting everybody down saying there's an employee. We have someone who's missing, a guest is missing some electronic device. He's been tracking it. It's here, or it's going to 3rd Street. I'm leaving the room. I'm going to come back in 10 minutes. If the device is sitting on my desk, we're going to forget, I don't know if they do that anymore.
Yeah. No, but that's what you should do. No, you're exactly right. So my story is, I guess, another entrepreneurish sort of story, not in a good way. The headline is U.S. Attorney's Office charges 11 people in massive multi-million-dollar fake temporary license plate scheme. Another thing we missed. John.
You sent this to me. I still don't quite understand it, so I'll let you go.
Sure. So they call them ghost cards with illegitimate license plates, and they continue to be an issue in New York and in Texas and in New Jersey and a number of other places. So the government is finally cracking down. It's taken them a while. Apparently, a lot of this one particular group of 11 people that have quite the enterprise going started in 2017. So it's been a while before they caught them. So the government's charged 11 people in connection with this major operation that created at least 100,000 fake temporary license plates in several different states over the last 9 years. And they're accused of establishing fake car dealerships in Georgia and New Jersey.
That's the way you get the plate, right? You have to have
a dealership is allowed to print out a temporary plate, and so what they were doing is they were printing these plates. Now listen, we've all seen these paper plates.
Yep.
How tough are they? They're white cardboard on black ink. So somebody enterprisingly decided, well, we'll get these and we'll sell them to people between $50 and $250 a pop. So they were selling these templates to people, and people were using them for a number of things. One of them in particular was, and they found this out in New York when they caught it first, was they were avoiding parking tickets, tolls, Easy Pass, and the state figures it cost them about $11.8 million. $11.8 million. Wow. And then, so the state lost out on not only toll revenue, registration revenue, and so forth. So they said in all, also from the Easy Pass going through and not being able to collect revenue, that was about $3.1 million. So a total of $15 million.
Jeez. Wow.
They said the bigger issue, though, aside from this, was that they were actually, some of these plates had been tracked to homicides. And some of them have been attached to crime. So people would use these fake plates, and then somebody would say, oh, we saw somebody got shot and they jumped in this car or whatever. But what's been more troubling for people, and this is where the government, I think, is worthless.
Okay.
So this group of scammers were making legitimate. So they were taking, if they saw a plate on the street, so say it was 12345.
Yeah.
So it was a legitimate plate on a Toyota Camry. So they would make a 12345 plate, same state, and put it on a Ford Taurus or something. So the person that had the real plate now was getting, that had the legitimate plate, was getting charged thousands of dollars in tolls and tickets and threatening, legal issues with their car.
I never thought of that.
So if they're finding that the Corolla has a plate that's illegitimate, but you have your Ford, which has a legitimate plate, why are you harassing the people? This is where I said government's worthless, because it's obvious that it was a fake. So New York has introduced legislation to try to fix the problem. They're not sure it's going to help. Texas has decided they're going to ban temporary plates.
Wow.
And so they went to just metal plates, which is what they have in Pennsylvania as well. However, the group was so good they actually knew how to fake metal plates as well. I guess it's quite a business. And they said thanks to vinyl printers that it's laughable to think that people are not going to be able to replicate this black and white design. So they're face up to the 11 people they've caught. They said they face up to 20 years in wire fraud and conspiracy and 5 years of committing device fraud. They'll probably serve a year. get slapped on the wrist.
Tim, this I know I laughed when you said this is why government is useless, but in all honesty, there's always this notion that we're the liars, that we're trying to pull one. We're trying to pull one over on the government, when in fact you do register your plate to a specific vehicle and a VIN number, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if the VIN on the Corolla is not matching the temporary plate, but it matches perfectly with the legitimate plate on the Ford, why would you even
start holding them accountable for
and think of all the mess that causes for the person who has a legitimate plate? Yeah.
Well, we all know this. We all know how inefficient government is, and that's the thing. Remember, we had an issue where somebody answered a question wrong on an employment thing, which could have easily been just said it was a mistake. They misunderstood the question. Took 3 years and lots of money to try to fight something that was just a simple mistake. And the courts, nobody wanted to listen to. They didn't understand the question. They answered it wrong.
No, and it went. I had to go to administrative hearing for that.
Pain in the ass, and get attorney. It was ridiculous.
The attorney was great, actually. I remember when he prepped me for that meeting. I was giving very complex answers. He goes, black and white.
Yes, no. Yeah,
you've been deposed.
You're a tough witness, Nash. You're a tough witness.
True.
You got to realize you're dealing with it. You got to go low, base level. It's yes and no. No gray, no explanation. Yes and no.
We always like to say that you learn a lot here on the focus group. Every day we prove it. More knowledge, real knowledge you could put to effect, right?
So there we go. So our business birthday today.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the focus group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So June 3rd, it's also Matt's birthday. Matt the artist.
Is Matthew. It really? Happy birthday, Matt.
Matt Hellier's birthday today, June 3rd. So J. Van Andel, born June 3rd, 1924, he died in 2004 at 80. American billionaire. He was best known as the co-founder of Amway with Richard DeVos. And we had profiled Richard DeVos on another show many years ago, I think. But J. Van Andel, he was also U.S. Chamber of Commerce chairman from 79 to 80. He was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, a devout Christian, a member of the Christian Reformed Church. And he said his Christianity and his background was foundational for him in developing Amway with DeVos. They went to high school together. And while they were in high school, they started selling, this is 1949. They got hooked up with one of these direct selling distributors where you would go house to house and sell, and they sold Nutrilite dietary supplements in high school. Now, you were selling marigold seeds and we were selling burpee seeds and tomato seeds. And they were selling Nutrilite dietary supplements, and they added cleaning products, including something called liquid organic cleaner, to their products. This was in 1958. And so in 1959, the American Way Association began in the basements of their house. Now, they had after high school, they both went into military. They were in the Air Force, and they came out, and then they continued in their basements of forming Amway, which was short for the American Sales Corporation, or the American Way Association.
Okay.
So it's their first location. They actually had a brick and mortar where they actually had their offices, was an old service station or gas station. And that became kind of their office building in the 1960s. And so they started doing all of this direct selling, and they sold a variety of health and beauty and home care products. Also sold Coca-Cola machines, which I thought was an odd thing. So you want this detergent, you want this soap, and oh, by the way, I got a Coca-Cola machine if you're interested. It's like minnows, postage stamps, cigarettes, ballpoint pens, jeans. So they initially started when they came back from the military. They were going to start an air charter service, and then a number of drive-in restaurants, because of course America in the car was a big thing. So they ended up, though, starting with vitamins, and then they moved on to soap and then home care products. And they developed this network of distributors, which were encouraged to sell and also use the products. And then they had to recruit more people to do direct sales. Now, you know who the biggest one of the biggest groups, subgroups, or communities that sells Amway. You could probably guess who that is.
No, the gays.
Think of Christians. Think of
the Jehovah's Witnesses.
There you go. Door to door. They're used to rejection. As I've said over and over again, if I had a
million
telemarketing
times.
company or a direct sales company, hire the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're like a dog with a bone. They'll go door to door. They're used to rejection. They keep coming until they get the sale.
Or, Tim, they're a raccoon at the can, a locked can.
Raccoon at the can.
Get me in.
I had a number of friends that were witnesses. They all sold Amway. This was something they could do in their part-time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. They had the Amway detergent and all that stuff. So they said that, and we were kind of making fun of it a little bit, but they were very devout Christian, believed that this helped their business. And the entrepreneurs, they said they believe they gave entrepreneurs and people an ability to reach their level of success based on their ability or their gumption, I suppose. They would have public rallies often when they would get together, and they would always start it with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the end of every meeting was wrapped up with "God Bless America." Sounds like the Merrimack Caves.
Click, 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 click.
God bless. It has nothing to do with the stalactites and the stalagmites. So he was a devout. Both were devout Republicans. Ronald Reagan spoke at their national meeting, as did Gerald Ford. And they had high-profile entertainment like Pat Boone. Pat Boone would show up and sing.
Did your household have any Amway products in it?
We did not. Did you?
Yeah, well, yes, because we ended up knowing someone who sold it. Our old babysitter, Darlene, sold it for a while, but she got out of it because is it sort of like a pyramid scheme in a way? Yeah. Okay, next.
You're setting me up here. So sales in 1980 surpassed $1 billion in revenue annually, and Avon tried to buy them. And Avon was going to try to buy them. Well, why not? You could add perfume to the portfolio, and Baby Soft. So but Avon didn't succeed. So in the 1970s, the federal authorities said the company was an illegal pyramid scheme, and but they fought it, and charges were dropped. In the 80s, Canada also charged the company with defrauding the country of millions out of custom duties. Apparently, the stuff was leaking across the border with no customs duty. So he was quoted as saying, Van Andel was quoted as saying, "No matter what government may do to hinder our essential work, entrepreneurs will always be there. And as long as entrepreneurs are with us and they live moral lives, there is hope." So it's almost like Paul, or what's that guy named? Paul Henry? What was his name? Is that his name? No, Paul Harvey. Paul Harvey. Good day. Remember Paul Harvey would do
Yes, I do. Although it could also be try, really try, believe, really believe, right?
From the church.
Grey Gardens.
He and his wife, though, I will say his wife Betty, they did use their money to start a group called the Van Andel Institute in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And their main focus was on disease research and science education. And they funded an awful lot of scholarships and work for researchers and education around cancer and neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's. And they felt their money was going to help seek and inspire and prepare students to become the next generation of researchers. So they really did put their money to what I think is good use. And both of them died in the same year.
Ooh.
They both died in 2004. His wife, Betty, had Alzheimer's disease, and he had Parkinson's, and he was 80.
Wow.
So that's Jay Van Andel.
What an interesting
listen.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and the company's worth, as of today, last year's revenues were $7.4 billion. Anyway, still going.
I am shocked at that revenue number, or that.
Yeah, it's huge.
I didn't know it was still around. I mean, when you sent this in, and I'm like, Amway. I remember when Darlene came over with our order. My mom used to order stuff because she knew Darlene. She was our old babysitter.
What kind of stuff did she get? Did she get the
cleaning
detergent?
Product? Yeah, detergent and cleaning product usually. Oh my God, Tim, excellent business birthday.
There's something to be said for it, right? With it, whether it's Tupperware or it's
Avon
or Amway or
Amway.
Avon. Yeah, I mean, it's I think for some people, I don't know, after the immediate friends you might sell something to, I would be able to build the network, because that's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
You get friends, they tell friends, they tell friends, they tell friends, and you become this kind of manager of this group of 30 or 40 people that are direct selling, and then they have a team under them. And so
then you
for
get
some
a pink
people, it
Cadillac
works.
someday.
Right. Remember Aunt Barbara
Mary Kay.
with Tupperware?
She was the best, one of the top in the country, right?
Yeah, one of the top 3. Yeah, Aunt Barbara Tupperware, and she had the pink Cadillac, and I think it was a pink Cadillac, wasn't it?
She got something
For
from them.
Tupperware. Maybe it was
Mary Kay. Mary Kay was the pink car, which turned into a Tesla at some point, not a Cadillac. But
yeah, but I do remember. I do remember Aunt Barbara got a Cadillac or something to that effect. So
and she would open her calendar once a year or twice.
Twice a year.
Her dates would fill up in like half a day, gone, if you didn't book. And then when she stopped being, well, she still is Aunt Barbara, but crazy. Yeah. Anyway, excellent business birthday. We are going to take a pause here, a quick break, and when we return, we have an article on your cognitive profile is probably the best way to say it, and how that might relate to your approach to work and getting things done. So stay with us. We're going to be right back.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. They're all business, except when they're not. It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Focus Group. Tim Bennett here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. Happy Pride, Mr. Nash.
Top of the Pride to you, Tim. Top of the Pride. And to all, I wish you a happy Pride.
I'm going to get you an outfit. I'm going to get you a leprechaun
we talked
outfit.
about this last year, Tim. We were going to do like some kind of foam hat, like a rubber hat or something. Or
I'm sure
I think it needs to be a full thing. I think it needs to have a fake beard. I think it needs to be leprechaun. It has to transmit
blonde, gold.
leprechaun.
Isn't it usually a blonde or green beard? You'll have to look.
You're close. You're very close. Yeah.
Yeah. Although people got tired. Remember the Sharky the Shark? The people got tired of the shark.
Yeah, Sharky. Yeah, they know. We got lots of notes saying, hey, Sharky was fun for a minute. Not for 10.
Well, we tend to beat stuff to the dead horse. We tend to beat stuff, but guess what? Not everybody tunes in all the time. So what might be old to you is new to someone else.
But also, Tim, we run the show. And if we want to have the Pride Leprechaun here for a mere, 8 shows in June, right? It's the Unbuttoned and the main show.
It's once a year. It's like the Charlie Brown Christmas special. It's once a year.
But hey, when you have listeners email saying, hey, John, top of the Pride, and then it sank in. It's a good brand thing.
Yeah. So our shop talk today, as John teased, and John found this article. Was it on Business Insider?
It was called stylist.co.uk.
Okay. And it said that the headline is How Knowing Your Cognitive Profile Can Change the Way You Work. I will say before we discuss it, I was a little confused.
Ditto.
But, okay.
Ditto.
So maybe we don't understand British English. But so I'll read a little bit about what it said here. It says, we all bring a different skill set to the table in the workplace. But have you ever wondered how your unique qualities influence the way you're perceived, how you progress, and how you learn and grow in your career? If not, it's time to get acquainted with your cognitive profile. Here, experts explain what exactly that is and how you can use it at work, how you can use it to use it to work even smarter. While we might be proficient with keeping track of things like training and career progression, we often focus less on how we work, learn, and think, a concept known as the cognitive profile. Understanding our cognitive profile could be the key to being more productive, more efficient, and happier at work. So it goes through what the cognitive profile is and how that will affect work. What was your key takeaway on this?
Well, the way I was expecting them to have some kind of little 10-minute test or something built into the article so I could get an idea. But the article was merely helping you to shape your thinking about your approach to work and how you may be dealing with others and how you can adapt that. So some people are not morning people. Some people think better in the afternoon or evening. I don't know how that's going to impact a 9-to-5 job. If you're 9 to 5 and you do your best work at 7, sorry. I agreed with a lot of it. And I did do a little, went to ChatGPT, the chat bot, and asked it about this. And it gave me a whole bunch of information about tests that are online. And if I told you what they were, you know right away. Tim, is it Myers-Briggs? Or Briggs-Myers?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of personality tests that there's things about your archetype. Myers-Briggs is one of them, and they're extensive, and they give you a whole spectrum of data about what you're supposedly like, who you like interacting with, how you like communicating with people, what type of problem solver you are. Are you someone who prefers to sit at your desk and be left alone and do quiet work, or are you somebody who interacts with other people and you're a connector and you make things happen? So that's really what they're getting at here is if you have a mismatch between what you're kind of wired for intellectually and emotionally, and you're in a job that doesn't honor that, it's not going to be according to them, it's not going to be a great experience. But if you could match your emotional and work and your problem solving profile with the right job, you're going to be happy. Did I get that right?
No, you're right. And they said some people, they looked at it as dials or different dials. And they said some people are very aware and pay attention to what's around them. Some people don't. Some people will start noticing patterns in the workplace and they can adjust to that. Some people might have more of an emotional radar and then they adjust to that. I find I sometimes called it procrastination. Maybe some people call it ADHD or ADHD, whatever they call it. I think you're the same way Marianne is. There's a number of our friends that we sometimes wait till the last minute to do things. I sometimes say that's procrastination, but for me, I'm usually constantly or thinking a lot about what I'm going to eventually do. And then you sit down and then you do it, right? And you get it done on time. But after you do it, what was that one thing the listener told us years ago? The dread is always worse than the deed.
Favorite.
Yeah. But I thought there are some workplaces where people don't have the ability to be able to go think or to take a walk and leave, or it's frowned upon if you left the office building or the work campus or your retail job to go out for lunch. Why aren't you eating inside with everybody? But in some ways, some people just handle things differently or handle stress differently or handle work differently. And I think one of the bigger issues for all of this to me is that so many people we've heard about are getting stuck in these web-based interviews or some sort of, computers going through and pulling keywords or something.
Yep.
And there's so much about personal interaction that a machine just can't fully address. And I remember, you might go into an interview or you might be working in a workplace. And if you're physically with a person working, you can get cues off of that person or behavioral things off that person that you're not going to pick up on Zoom or a Teams meeting thing. And I remember interviewing people over the years. I often learned more either walking them to the office for the interview or walking them out and saying goodbye.
The in-between chat, right?
How they act, how they behave, how
relaxed,
more
were they?
Comfortable, right? They're more comfortable then because it's not the interview's over.
Yeah.
And again, machines, quote unquote, can't do that. So for me, a lot of this article made sense in a world where we still have human interaction. But unfortunately, I find that more and more we don't seem to have that. And so this, to me, that's where I was a little confused on this. I thought, well, a lot of this makes sense, but it's kind of not it's kind of not how the workplace works now, right? We've heard, how many people have we heard that have gone through either interviews or whatever and never talked to anybody? They were answering a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the camera was watching their eyes or whatever was going on.
Tracking.
I don't know. Yeah.
So, Tim, to go to Tim's example of what we call procrastination, I took a personality test once, and The term that they used was different. So they used the term synthesizer. So here's an example of what I think Tim is getting at. So someone like me or Tim are given an assignment, and we spend most of our time thinking, asking questions, and research, and then it appears that at the last moment we spit out a report. So, and then the client sees it, or your boss, and it's so close to what they need, or maybe it's a little off, it needs a few edits, but it's done. The opposite of that is someone who doesn't synthesize, or if they are a synthesizer, but they're being the demand on them is to continually put in front of somebody else, what's your progress? By the time it interrupts their thinking, and they do half-assed work all the way up to the end. So this is the mismatch. So let's say a boss knows that somebody does their best work, leave them alone. I'm going to get that thing about a day before I need it. Well, it's going to be what I expect, and we're going to fix it and submit it to the higher ups. If you match that person with a boss who is more micromanaging, I need to see what are the steps? Where are we at?
Yeah.
It's a disconnect. And I agree with Tim as well. And I think the article really kind of leans into this, that a lot of interpersonal communication is involved in this cognitive work style, right? So, Tim is dealing with some clients who do everything remotely. And we all know from the pandemic that Zoom was a godsend. But it's a flat screen.
Yeah.
And in fact, I read an article during the pandemic that people get exhausted from doing Zoom because it requires much more brain power to interpret all the little signals that we pick up when we're in front of a human being. And you're trying to do that on a flat screen with a 2D image. So anyway, I think you could sum up the whole cognitive thing by saying, if you did in fact know how you like to work or how you're wired to work, and you match correctly, with a boss or with an organization or a career, it's going to be good. So I guess it's almost a commercial for Myers-Briggs or something. Like I hate that test, by the way.
Right. Well, and if you're good, oh yeah, and I hate it because it's exactly what you said. Unless you're a moron, because if you're going for a sales job, and so the first question is, do you prefer to be at a party interacting with people?
That's it.
Reading a book? Or, well, okay, I'm going for a sales job. I guess me sitting in a corner reading a book is probably not going to be the sales job thing.
I didn't think of that. Good one.
I need to be, at the party, enjoying myself, networking. Yeah, I hate those stupid things. I hate those tests. I don't know. Over the years, and I know they give them, there's a good salesperson that sells them to the HR departments. I don't ever know. I've never had anybody say to me, well, they didn't do well on the Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, never.
So we're not going to hire them.
The most I've ever had with a Myers-Briggs, I was at a cocktail party once, and I mentioned that I had done the test. Oh, what are you? I'm a 6'7". Like he reeled out it was almost like someone saying, I'm a Libra with Taurus rising. Yeah. Or you're like, okay, great. I have no idea. Can you make me a vodka tonic?
Yeah. Yeah. I would have no idea. I think with these test things, and it's the same with the workplace now, I just think if you treat people like adults,
you're going to get good work.
And then have them be accountable, you'll be okay.
Yep, I completely agree with you. You're right there. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up there on the first official week of Pride Month. Happy Pride. See, I said it kind of quietly, so it's not irritating. I want to thank you for joining us and making time for the focus group. We know you have plenty of podcasts to choose from, and we're very happy that you spend your time with Tim and me. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com, check us out, and learn about our podcast TFGM button there. And just to reiterate, if you have a local ad, by the way, I just want to say we got a lot of new local ads, and Tim, I got a surprise for next week. Our listeners always deliver the goods. Let's just put it that way. So local ads, letters at focusgroupradio.com. Everybody, welcome to June, and we will see you next week. Oh, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and we'll see you next week here on the Focus Group.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.